episode of Pretty Suited Podcast, where we discuss career, culture, and the commitment to being our best selves. I'm your host, Lauren A., and this is actually a special episode today. I'm super duper excited because I'm joined here today by someone who has been a longtime friend, really, and we're going to get into the details of that friendship later, but she has done a phenomenal job as just being a great supporter for me, as well as just be a wonderful mom, a nurse practitioner, wife. So I'm joined here by the lovely Mrs. Nia Griffin. How are you doing today, Nia?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for being here, really, because it's only right that you be one of my first guests. I mean, we have a bit of history. You've seen me go in and out of different careers. You've been extremely supportive with that. And I wanted to have you on because you're able to provide a lot of good input on just, your journey as being a nurse, journey as being a mom. We're going to talk about today really just wearing different hats and what that means, like we said in pre-production, I want this to be a, chill conversation, but I know you got some things you want to get off your chest too. And I see you have, Mr. Little one there. How's he doing?
He's doing well. He's doing well.
Okay. All right. Is he in daycare or you've been?
Yes, he's in school. He's been in school since he was 9 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I know he was ready to see mom today.
Yes. Yes, I missed him. He missed me.
Oh, that's so precious. Well, let's hop right on into it. Just, I know you, but tell the audience a little bit about you and what it is that you do.
Well, my name is Nia, and I am a nurse practitioner. I've been in healthcare going on 9 years, worked as a registered nurse, and went to Georgia State University, graduated, went back to Georgia State, got my master's in family nurse practitioner, and I've been a nurse practitioner since for the past 3 years.
Awesome. Yeah, let me just give y'all a quick backstory on, Nia and I's relationship. So we both started nursing school around the same time. I want to say I may have been like a semester before her, something like that. But I do remember, her from school. It was very competitive. We really just had blinders on during school and just, tried to get through it because it was super competitive. But I remember getting out of school and starting at a particular hospital. And I was like, I know that girl. You came on the unit and definitely we clicked. And we were basically thrown into the wolves.
Yes.
We were thrown into the wolves at that time. But you know what? I just briefly, I wouldn't trade that experience for anything because I feel like, we were thrown in, because a lot of times in healthcare, I'm sure you guys know that, the staffing can be a little iffy, right? And so a lot of times new employees have to, take on a leadership role a little prematurely, but I think it kind of made us, have tough skin. Right?
It did.
So just speaking on that, in your experience, I can speak about my experience, but I want to hear what you think about, that time and how you, as a new grad was put into a leadership role or just becoming acclimated to being a nurse.
So during that time, it was a transition period on the unit. I want to say we lost like 20 nurses.
It was like that, wasn't it?
Oh, so, having that seasoned nurse to mentor and guide you through the beginning of your career, it wasn't there. So you have to learn really fast, quickly. Sorry, my earring fell out.
It's okay. It's
quickly. Yeah, quickly. So you have to, become resourceful. You have to really believe in yourself that, even though, yes, I'm new, I do know what I know, and I don't know what I don't know, but I know what I do know.
Right.
So that really kind of helps you, build your confidence in what you're doing, because you have no one else to rely on or to lean on during that time period. So it was interesting and definitely being pushed into leadership so early on because, here you are 22, 23, making, scheduling, staffing for people that are old enough to be I'm not, trying to be rude, but like our mothers, some even
Talk
grandmothers.
about it. Talk
And
about it.
so, being able to be assertive in leadership but still be respectful
Yeah.
is something that I feel like a lot of the younger nurses have to understand, that yes, you may be this such and such title, but still being respectful, because a lot of times you can get a lot of friction when you come in like, oh, she thinks she's all this, she's all that, and she doesn't know
Mhm.
anything. And you deal with that
Absolutely.
a lot. So you
Absolutely.
have to be careful how you come in, because you
Mhm.
will get backlash.
And that's such a great point that you bring up, because I say that all the time, as a young leader, millennials in general, this show, we're talking about millennial professionals. And one of the things is, being confident in your decision making, but then also changing your style, right? A lot of times the previous generations, they were more like authoritative, right? Or ruled with the iron fist. But I think as millennials, we're coming to know that you cannot, lead an older generation the same way you lead a younger generation. Because sometimes you just do have people who, for lack of better words, hate, you know, um, and if they don't come in with that warm, hey baby, auntie type or uncle type thing, then, or they come off with some animosity instead, then you're like,
Exactly.
sir, madam, we don't have to do this, okay? We're all trying to do
Exactly.
the same thing here.
Exactly.
And oftentimes too, if you just become a likable person, like I talked about in my last podcast, the older generation will be helpful in trying to make sure things are straight, right? How many times
Yes.
we made friends with like the unit secretary or the scheduler or
And they
something like
looked
that?
out for us.
Oh yes,
They
and
looked
to this
out for
day.
us to this day, to this day. But I think it was because how we came in.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were talking about likable personalities. You made a transition from being a nurse to a nurse practitioner. I'm sure that was, just a adjustment, right? I mean, just mentally. Talk about that a little bit.
It's different. One of the things I talked about with one of my friends who's also a nurse practitioner is being a nurse practitioner is lonely.
Okay, talk
So,
about
and
that.
so when you think about, I was in a small family practice setting, so it was just me and the doctor. So I didn't have another peer to bounce ideas off of. I have the MAs that are there, the front office, which they were phenomenal, but it was lonely. So I
Yeah.
miss, going to the nurses station, seeing your favorite nurse buddy, talking about whatever's going with the patients, just being able to bounce ideas off of each other, support each other, knowing that if I step out, you're going to fill in the gap for my patient. We look after each other's patients. So, um, as an NP, you don't really do that. Like your patient is your patient. It's independent. It's not like a team effort.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have your charge nurse saying, "Hey, her load is heavy. Come in here and help her with her patient." It's like
Right.
it's no. It's this is your patient. You figure out what's wrong with them.
Mm-hmm.
You do have the medical assistant that you can, delegate some tasks to, but
Mm-hmm.
ultimately it's your patient, your responsibility. And so that's just how it goes. And I have a
Yeah.
new job now where I work with other NPs and I'm able to bounce, ideas off of, and they're very, very supportive. But
Mm-hmm.
in this new career, this is new for me to have other NPs that I'm working with. So I'm excited about that aspect. But still, the role is still, these are all my patients that I'm responsible for.
Right. And so just briefly, um, talk about, you said that you're transitioning and able to, now you have all these patients that are pretty much your responsibility. But talk little bit about the mindset, going into more of a leadership role like that, where your decision has a little bit more weight.
A lot more responsibility.
Yeah. Did you have to like
So
say, "Hey, okay, I can make this decision and it's the right one."
it takes a while. So you deal with imposter syndrome, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big deal. You deal with, do I know what I'm doing? What am I doing? Why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest thing for me is, and with us going to Georgia State, evidence-based practice, right?
Right.
So, do I have evidence? Do I have literature? Do I have research? Is this best practice? You know, to do what I'm doing? What is the
Mm-hmm.
protocol?
Mm-hmm.
So, really utilizing resources, guidelines to help me justify my decisions that was
Mm-hmm.
unsure of
Yeah.
helped. But ultimately, the difference from the nurse and being a nurse practitioner is as a nurse, I am always following orders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I, as a nurse practitioner or physician assistant,
Mm-hmm.
doctor, DO, you're the one that is writing the orders. You are
Mm-hmm.
coming up with the treatment plan.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the biggest difference. So that's a lot of responsibility because you don't want to misdiagnose. You
Yeah.
don't want to give someone the wrong treatment plan. That
Mm-hmm.
holds a lot of liability. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to make sure that you're making the best decision
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that you have the evidence to back it up and you are doing best practice for your patients to have the best outcomes. As a nurse practitioner, I wanted to go into primary care to help prevent my patient ending up in the acute care side.
That's
So,
important. Yeah.
we worked on a neuroscience unit, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we have people coming in with ischemic strokes, hemorrhagic strokes, a lot of conditions that are caused by diet and lifestyle
Mm-hmm.
issues. So in my mind is how do we prevent that patient from ending up in the hospital with a MI heart attack or with the stroke?
Mm-hmm.
It starts in the primary care setting. It starts in that initial point of contact with the patient, the provider, feeling secure. As African Americans, we, have a lot of healthcare disparities. We have a lack of access to healthcare, to
Mm-hmm.
quality healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Being in a metropolitan area like Atlanta, we're kind of spoiled because we have so many doctors, here that are of color, of different ethnicities, of different language. But if you look at Georgia as a whole
Mm-hmm.
outside of Atlanta, that is lacking.
Yeah.
And ignorance is bliss. You don't know what you don't know. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's my duty, our duty, to try to educate and advocate.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm
So,
so glad you bring that up because I even make this claim, I consider myself more of like a holistic, integrative type person now.
mhm,
And later in my career, I'm wholly about education. And you're right when, the focus is so much on the fixing, the aftermath,
the
putting band-aids
after.
on gunshot wounds, right? Versus the preventative care. And, primary care and preventative care is so important because it can really make a difference in the quality of life, right? Yeah, nobody wants to eat healthy foods every day, right? We want our chicken wings and candy and things like that. But, over time, especially as with the way food and stuff is made, you really can't have that same lifestyle for a prolonged period because it's going to catch up to you. And then we see those people who are constantly readmitted in the hospitals and things like that because of just the lifestyle and how just culture just promotes, just kind of fast microwave, quick, pleasures versus saying, hey, you kind of have to sacrifice a few things in order to, be healthy in the long run. So as a provider, like, how do you feel about the importance of the preventative care and like how has that been helpful in your treatment plan for your patients?
I mean, most of my visits were preventative care visits
Oh,
or
great.
some aspect preventative care. Most of
Mm-hmm.
my patients were geriatric population. So, I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing breast screenings, I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing colorectal screenings, I'm doing prostate screening, I was screening for high blood pressure, diabetes. It's all preventative care. And,
Mm-hmm.
and it starts with just that conversation, just going in to get a checkup.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many patients I had where they're new patients and they hadn't been seen in 5 to 10 years.
Mm.
A lot can change from 25 to 30,
Yeah.
35 to 40, 45 to 50. Recently, about 2 years ago, they changed the screening for colon cancer. It was 50, now it's 45 because they're finding that colon cancer is being diagnosed much younger and it's much more aggressive. I mean, look at Chadwick Boseman,
Oh
Black
my
Panther.
goodness. Chadwick Boseman situation was so unfortunate because, I don't know if it was a quick, progression of the disease because he just didn't tell anybody. But
Hmm.
you're right as far as like just how aggressive things have gotten despite, advanced medicine.
And it goes back to our diet.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
goes back to our diet. Because of the processed foods that we have as a nation a higher rate of colorectal cancer, and it's directly related to our diet.
I totally believe that because I know several people who have gone to Europe and overseas and they take a bite of the food and they're like, this doesn't even taste like the same fried chicken at the house.
Because we have so many things that are added to our food that are banned in other countries.
Yeah. It's like that's crazy to me how the difference when you look at the label, even have you ever been to Aldi and looked at the label of a Chips Ahoy bag in Aldi versus a Chips Ahoy bag at Kroger or whatever American market? Half of the ingredients aren't there. And
And
so
that
when you just see that difference, you're like, that is insane.
it's insane and it's scary.
Yeah,
It's
it
really
is.
scary.
So you just do your best, right? I mean, that's the best you can do as a provider. You can't make somebody change, even when you're providing education. You can't force anybody to do anything that they don't want to do, or even if it comes to just, the ability to afford healthy foods, because we don't even want to get into that conversation of just how it's not even affordable.
It's not, unfortunately. And that's the thing you have to be mindful of. Everyone's finances are different, so you have to kind of meet people where they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Do the best you can. Because I know I try, I like a chicken wing. I do love a good hot wing. But if in the grand scheme of things, I try to do my best to, at least be pescatarian for the most part, or even try to cut back on even the seafood. Because we all see what's happening in the water with the plastics and the mercury and all that. So you do the best you can, but I appreciate you putting forth that effort, as a woman of color who's also a provider, just to kind of like help balance the scale back at least a little bit to, be as preventative as possible for your patients. Um, and so speaking of, going into a leadership role, being humbled and all that good stuff like that. Did you see that Sha'Carri Richardson? She's like a
Oh
runner. Did you
yeah,
see that
she
she just
won.
won?
Yes,
So,
congratulations, Shakari.
so Sha'Carri Richardson has been a track and field runner, and so she has received some backlash a couple years ago about smoking marijuana, and she just I guess it wasn't the best sports. She didn't have the best sportsmanlike conduct, I guess, during that time. So while she was winning, she kind of received a lot of backlash, and she ended up losing. And then now all of a sudden she has been, I guess putting in the work and showing a different attitude. And she just won the 100-meter world championship, actually beat out Jamaica and everywhere else. So congratulations to her. But I just thought that was very interesting because we talked about being having a good attitude towards things and how that can kind of make or break a situation. Like if you go into something, I guess overconfident or just not being a likable person, people may feel a way towards you. And then when you're winning, then everybody's cool. But then when you're losing, they hopping on you, right? Then they're like, see, haha, I told you so. That's just not right. So our next topic, I wanted to get into, just the balancing act, because we see that you have your son there and just being a mom as well as a nurse practitioner, a wife, and all those things. How do you find balance in all of this?
That's what I'm still working on. Every day I feel like I'm a buoy in the ocean, just bouncing
Mm,
along, just trying to keep my head above water. Some days I feel like I got it, and then some
mhm.
days you're throwing a curveball. Right
Yeah.
now my son's coughing. He's supposed to be asleep. I put him down at, 30 minutes ago
Mhm.
and he woke up. But he wants his mama, Sometimes it's a process.
Yeah.
So I'm
And
trying.
unpredictable, I'm
It
assuming.
is. I'm trying to give myself grace.
Hmm.
Everything's not going to get done,
Yeah.
and it's not the end of the world.
So we learned that a lot on the unit, where it's like, when you're a nurse, you try to get everything done during
Because
your
we're so
shift.
task oriented, task, task, task.
Yes. But then at the end of the day, you're like, this is a 24-hour job. It's not going to get done right now. And it's okay. We can resume this later.
Yes. Yeah. So motherhood is like that, but on steroids. And then when you're a working mom, on top of that, then it's really challenging. I was only out with my son for 9 weeks of maternity leave.
Mm.
So I quickly went back to work. And so you have a lot of guilt with that because
Mm-hmm.
you need money to support your
Mm-hmm.
child, but
Mm-hmm.
then making money takes you away from your child. So it's always that constant, you know, turmoil that you have inside of you. Like, am I not spending enough time with my child? But then you want your child to have certain things, not necessarily materialistic things, but access to certain experiences.
Absolutely.
And so I know
Absolutely.
I'm not the only one that struggles with this, but it's a constant struggle.
Yeah. And you're so right because unfortunately in this country, they expect women to just do everything. Unfortunately. I
And we have
mean,
terrible maternal and paternal leave
absolutely.
compared to other nations.
I mean,
And
I
I
think with
think
some in Europe, they even have 2 years off in Europe, I heard.
sometimes, and I think that contributes to, maternal harm, because
Mhm.
women are literally still open, rushing to get back into the workplace. And we're
Yeah.
not, we're not, mules out in the field. We're humans. We have families, and
Yeah.
we don't have the time to, have that recovery that we need before we're driven back to the workforce for various reasons.
Giving birth is a mental and physical experience. So when you have to go back to work 9 weeks after you've given birth, not only is your body not all the way healed, but your mind. So when you talk about women who are given the grace in different countries to be out for 2 years, I'm pretty sure they have way low episodes of postpartum depression and things like that because they just were able to spend that time with that child and heal a little bit more. It's not like the late 50s when women were stay-at-home wives and they were able to kind of just be in that space. But nowadays, you have to work and be a mom and be a wife and all those hats that you're wearing at the same time.
You do, and it's hard. It's really hard. In today's times, it's really hard to make it on one income. So it's
Oh my goodness.
you know, it's really,
Inflation.
really, yes, inflation's at an all-time high. I would gladly be a stay-at-home mom, gladly. Maybe part-time a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh, but I went back to school, so I definitely want to utilize my degrees.
Do you find support, from, your spouse and your family have been, or just adjusting to the support, of not trying to do everything on your own? Like, how has that been for you?
My husband is very supportive and very
Hmm.
hands-on with our son, so I'm definitely blessed in that. It takes a village to raise a child. You can't do it by yourself. And for
Yeah.
those that do have to do it by themselves, definitely my hat's off to you because that's hard, whether it's by choice or by force. If you have to do it by yourself, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard. We
But
have to just tag team to get things done.
I do commend you. I mean, knowing your story, it was a pretty decent timeline, I would say, as far as like, how things played out for you. Everybody's story is not like that. We know women who, first of all, never got married or had children while they were super young. So they had to, get a career and do things a little earlier. Can you speak to a little bit about the cultural difference or just, an upbringing and things like that about how you started your family and what you saw other people do?
Yes. So everything was intentional. I didn't come from the Huxtables, shall
Mm-hmm.
I say. And my parents, were great, supportive, but my parents weren't married. to each other. My dad has been married twice, but my mom's never been married. So for me, I didn't have that example of the Huxtables. You see that on television, but that wasn't my life. But that's something that I always aspired. So I always wanted to do things the right way. You know, graduate high school, don't get pregnant. Go to college, don't get pregnant. Get a career, you know, get married, buy a house, you know, work, go back to school, then have my son. That's how everything happened. That can be a lot of people's plans. Luckily, you know, my plan worked the way that I wanted to. I ultimately guess it was God's planning for me. But that's what I was very intentional about, and my husband was very intentional about. Just being focused on having a solid foundation. So now that we're in our 30s, and we're parents in our 30s, we can spend our time not focusing on ourselves or our career aspirations as much, because we kind of grinded it out in our 20s. So that way we're more established in our 30s to have a good foundation, to build a family. So that was very intentional.
Yeah,
Very, very
absolutely.
intentional.
Awesome. Okay, awesome. I think that that is important. You know, like you said, everybody's plan doesn't work the way it's, you know, that they want it to, and you kind of
Hmm.
have to adjust. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that because life is about adjustments. You know, I just seen personally that, you know, a lot of times different people, depending on how you were raised, your temperament and stuff, you know, we've seen how the priority was to go to school, have a, you know, get married, have a baby, things like that. And then you have others too who are just like, worry about your career and that's it. Like all that other
And
stuff is
that's
just,
how my parents raised me.
yeah.
They never were like, you know, get married. They were
Hmm.
like, if you want to get married, that's fine. If you want to have a kid, that's fine. They always were push me to be more career driven. And so
Yeah.
that was my mindset. I happened to fall in love and get married along the way. But luckily, my husband, his mindset was career as well. So,
Hmm.
you know, having two ambitious people together to motivate each
Hmm.
other, um, was a blessing to find someone like
Hmm.
that that understood that I have my own goals and
Yes.
aspirations, and was supportive in that. I'm very thankful for that. And he has his own goals and aspirations, and I'm
Mhm.
supportive in that as well. So,
That's great. I think, and so to wrap that up, I mean, absolutely find someone who, you know, has a similar mindset as you. That way, when you have to balance all of these different hats, you know, it's not as much of a struggle
no.
because, you know, that partnership, that camaraderie, that family unit, that village, can just make things a little bit easier in the end versus you trying to do everything on your own and be superwoman.
And I do have a tendency to do that. That's just my nature. But
Uh-huh.
yes, it's good to have someone that can stand in the gap with you, that you can rely on, depend on. So that's definitely thankful for that.
So now we're going to get into our watch list of the week. So I told Nia, that, you know, the watches of the week is a segment that we do where we go over shows that we are been watching lately, or maybe pick back up, or even movie that we've just seen. And so I this week saw a movie that I was reluctant to see. I was reluctant to see this movie because I just knew it was going to be disappointing and I was mad at it. Actually, I think going back to like my first or second or third episode, I spoke about this movie because I was just mad that it was coming out. And it was the I Want to Dance with Somebody, the Whitney Houston movie, like the 100th Whitney Houston movie. So
So was this the Lifetime one or the one that came to the theater?
it was the one that came to the theater because, like I said, it's about 400 of these
Oh,
movies.
with the girl that's from like the UK.
But let's talk about it, right?
Okay,
So
I haven't seen I haven't seen any of them because I just can't. I love
I
Whitney too much. I love her too much.
exactly. So I wasn't going to see it, but then I was on Netflix one night and I was just like, you know what? I'm just bored. I want to find something. So I said, let me just click on it and just be mad. I was looking forward to being mad. So I clicked on it and let me start by saying this. It's but so many times you can skin a cat, right? We know that you could tell a story. We've seen the story. We understand what happened with Whitney, but they tried to do a job of changing the narrative a little bit and made Whitney a little bit more human versus kind of like this grandiose person. So in the I Want to Dance with Somebody movie, the woman who played her, she picked up Whitney's characteristics. Like she had her mannerisms down and everything like that. But and the storyline was a little bit more like chill. Like you could tell Whitney was just a girl who was trying to find love, and then she found love, and Robbins that they alluded to, which was her bodyguard / friend person. And then she fell in love with Bobby. And first, let me say this. The guy who they got to play Bobby, they should be ashamed of themselves because although I love that guy, I think his name is Ashton something. He was in
Oh, he plays
the
in
Woo movie.
Woo's. Yeah, and he was in The Equalizer.
Yes. And he's a good actor, but no Bobby Brown. It wasn't
They
given
could
Bobby.
have got the guy who played him in the New Edition biopic. He did a good job. Yeah,
Woody did
Woody.
such a
Yeah,
good
yeah, he
job.
did a
So
good
I
job.
was like, okay, this Ashton guy, it ain't hitting. But okay, I'm gonna let that slide. But like I said, they tried to humanize Whitney, but we talk briefly about like we know that Black British actors have kind of just taken over Hollywood, where most of our stories are being played by them, right?
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong, no shade, because a lot of times, when I tell you the acting skills are on point, they got the
Damon
accents
Idris,
down. Oh my gosh,
Idris Elba.
all the Idrises, okay. And they do a great job with the accent to the mannerisms to everything like that. So no, I'm not trying to throw any shade
Hmm.
at them, but I just thought it was interesting how Whitney Houston's character was played by this woman who you really couldn't even tell that she had a British accent, maybe in a certain words here and there, but it really wasn't noticeable. But overall, I'm gonna say we didn't need it. The actual movie itself, we didn't need another.
I don't think so. I do not think so. But I think our estate actually signed off on this film.
Okay, so like the family and
Yeah,
everything
the
was okay with
family.
this
Yeah,
one.
with this one. Yeah, they were.
And that makes a lot of sense because I think the voice was actually used because a lot of time, Lifetime, they don't use the voice. It's some random person.
You
It's
know, they had Deborah Cox, which her
oh,
and Whitney were really close friends.
and they do sound a tad
So
similar.
she sang the songs on the other ones. Only, yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
yeah,
Well, anyway, guys, I'm not saying check it out, but if you want to check it out, it's not terrible. But I just because I do like the route they were trying to take to make her a little bit more human, but at the same time, it's number 401. You know what I'm saying? It's like we didn't really need another one, but okay.
yeah. Just let her rest in peace, please,
I say the
please,
same thing. Just let me
please,
let
please.
let Whitney rest.
Just let her rest. Just let her rest, please.
So, what movie did you see lately or show?
Between being mom and working, not that much, but I will say my favorite show out right now is Abbott Elementary. Do you watch
Uh,
that show?
I do.
I love Quinta. I notice her. I don't know if you watch a Black Lady sketch show with Robin
I
Mead.
have. I saw a couple of episodes now. That's funny too, but I think it just got
It
canceled.
got canceled, but she was on that show.
Hmm.
But I absolutely love Abbott Elementary. I love Shirley Ralph's character.
Yes.
I love Tyler James' character because I think it's so important that they are showing a black male educator
Who cares and
who
who's
cares.
yes.
I
Yes.
mean, that show is brilliant, and I just think during COVID and after COVID, education has been like a highlight. So I think it's time that we had a show that is dark humor, but it's
Mhm.
touching on serious subject matter. So I love Abbott Elementary. Love that show.
Totally agree. I couldn't agree more. The writing has been amazing. They've won Emmys.
And
And
they
it's
deserve all of it.
every last single one of them. Cheryl has
All
been doing her thing since Mo. We know the Dream Girls.
Dreamgirls.
Yeah, we know
Yes.
Dream Girls. But in my household, she was Dee Dee. Okay, she
From
was
Moesha,
Dee from
yes.
Moesha. So
Yes. I'm just so
amazing.
excited to see her get the recognition um, that she deserves, you know. And
Absolutely.
she's put in the work. So I love that show. I can't wait for this writer strike to end so we can get new
Oh,
episodes.
yeah. I said last or a couple podcasts ago, I said, look, I don't know if it's gonna end anytime soon, so y'all better go ahead and hit these reruns and get your DVDs out, get your VHS
Yeah,
tapes out.
I don't think so. And yeah, I don't think so.
It's a shame, but yeah, I love Abbott, so that's definitely a good choice, and I can't wait for it to come back. So cool. So I think both of them. Well, Abbott, I know you can watch on Hulu.
Yes.
I Want to Dance with Somebody is on Netflix, so
Oh,
watch
it's on
both of
Netflix.
those. Yeah, that's where I saw it. Yeah.
Okay.
So check it out. They're both available. Now we're gonna get into our tune of the week. And just like the watch list of the week, the tune of the week is something that we've been just listening to lately. It doesn't have to be new, just something that's getting us through our week, right? So lately, I have been listening to, well, I'm not going to lie, I haven't lately been listening to it, but I did check the song out. And I was pleasantly surprised how much of a nice bop it was. Now, let me preface this too, because this whole situation is messy. But I did just listen to Usher's Boyfriend with Keke Palmer. Messy, okay? Nia, go ahead. I know you got something to
Okay.
say.
That song sounds old. Didn't it sound
It's
kind of dated?
Usher has been doing that kind of song for a while now.
So I feel like he just kind of had that in the vault.
Yeah, yeah,
And then he was like, "Well, I'm gonna do some more tours. Let me drop this song, promotion, piggyback off the Kiki." I thought the marketing behind it was genius.
yes. Yeah, I agree. And we all know, just for if you have been living under a rock, we know Keke Palmer, the fabulous, the entertaining Keke Palmer, was in Vegas. Her boyfriend was mad at her for having an outfit on and kind of hugging and dancing with Usher at his show, at his residency. And he basically tweeted that you're a mom, you can't be doing all that. And
I'm a
everybody,
mother.
yeah, right. And the internet tore him up. Unfortunately, that whole thing was messy. But I think both of them tried to capitalize on the moment, both Keke and Usher. And they, like Nia said, Usher had the song in the vault. They was like, it's perfect time to just tweak a little words here and there and make this a moment. And the video itself was definitely playing on that because she made mention of I'm a mother in the video too at the end. And what like Nia said, the song is a little dated, but still like we expect a certain type of song from Usher. We expect a Usher song. So
Hmm.
even if it does sound dated, if you just want the skate at the go to Stars and Stripes or Cascades or wear and skate, or if you wanted to just, go in Vegas and go to the nearest club or whatever, we know that you could throw that song on and it still be a nice bop
Yeah.
on the way there. So I was surprisingly surprised, but I was like, okay, this is cute. But at the same time, I was like, this is real messy and cheesy a little bit, just because of everything that happened. So so what song have you been listening to?
Oh, that's hard. So my Spotify is like on shuffle.
Okay, nothing wrong with the shuffle.
Um, yeah, so I tried to listen to Sierra's latest EP. I tried.
How was it? Okay. I mean, okay. Is
I
it the
tried.
same? Is it the same issue as the Usher? Is it kind of dated? Does it feel not fresh or too fresh or what?
I think she suffers from the opposite. I think it's like trying to chase the trend.
Oh, okay.
So,
Which is
because I saw,
understandable because of the time we're in. You kind
right,
of,
TikTok,
yeah,
So,
yeah.
because her video with Chris Brown, I love
Mhm.
the video. The song is okay, but the dancing, I'm like, this is really cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't really feeling it.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I listened to a group called They. I don't know if you listen to them.
My absolute. I got
Okay,
about 3, 4 episodes talking about they. I
okay.
love them. Okay.
So I listened to a lot of They. I listened to a lot of Black. I like his last album.
Yes. Yes.
Travis Scott's. I've listened to his last album as
Okay.
far as like hip hop is concerned. And then I mean, just
A little bit of everything.
a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
little
But
division,
I
little
see a theme.
division.
Yeah. I see a theme though. Everybody that you just named, whether it's Black, they, Travis, like, all of them kind of have like this kind of funky sound. What I love about they is that like they have like it's like a tinge of like old R&B, but it's
Hmm.
very mellow. Like you just want to just drive through the city or something like that. They give you that chill vibe.
And it's kind of rugged too. It's not
Yeah.
super polished.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because Blue Moon is actually my husband and I's favorite song. Like
I love
constant
that
repeat, repeat,
song.
repeat, repeat. It's the song is perfect.
It's perfect.
It's
It's so
perfect.
good. It's
It's
so good.
perfect.
I've
Yeah.
been trying to get people on they for the longest because they sleeping on them,
What?
and I don't like it. I don't like
We
it.
all love their stuff. Like all of, I think I found them listening to Tanashi. Was it
Mm.
Play Fight? I think that's how I found them. So like I like
Yep.
Tanashi too. So I listen to
Yeah.
like a lot of alternative R&B that you're not gonna really hear on the radio.
I
So
dig it. I like the same. I like it. I like it too. And that song Play Fight was on like
mhm.
the Amanda tape.
Amanda
That was
Tate.
a good. That was I play that all the
Yes.
time.
Yes, yes.
Okay, Nia, I see you. You gotta get that slow vibe going on.
A
You
nice
gotta
little
listen
vibe.
to something good on the way to work, dealing with what you deal with every
Well,
day.
on the way to work, it might be some future.
Yo,
It,
that is the underlying joke between nurses and healthcare professionals. If your doctor does not drive into his parking space listening to Future, he's not your doctor.
specifically, Dirty Sprite 2 mixtape.
Just specifically.
Okay, that's the one that's gonna get you through traffic on 285. That's what's gonna get you there safely.
Absolutely. If it's not Future, some kind of Yo Gotti trap, something with a bass to it. If it's
I
not
mean,
that,
I'm even on 21 Savage at this point. I need the bass, treble, all of
I'm not
that.
judging. I'm not judging. That means you're a good nurse practitioner. That's all you got to do for me. I'm just playing. But yeah, but that's but I so appreciate you being here today, Nia. Like, honestly, like I said before, you've been super supportive. I'm so proud of all the things that you've done and accomplished, just juggling so many different hats, in this day and age, where everything just being so wacky. You've been able to carry it with grace. So I appreciate you. I'm here to support you, as always as well. And is there anything that you just want to leave, some final words that you just want to leave before we head out?
Well, thank you for having me. It's been amazing to see our friendship blossom over these years, to see you grow into your own, pursue your other passions outside of nursing. So I admire everything that you're doing, the photography, the podcast, keep striving, keep going for your goals. Just want to let the viewers know that, whatever is for you is for you. Don't focus on what the next person is doing. We live in a culture now that everything's on social media. We're always made to feel inadequate, like we're not doing enough, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Just focus on yourself and everything will fall into place. Just stay true to yourself, stay authentic to yourself. stay humble, and stay gracious.
Absolutely. Yep. And we'll leave it right there. Well, thank you again. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, I want to leave you with our final thoughts, which is you can't manifest anything that you don't believe. So create the life that you want and look to the sky for grace. As always, have a blessed week, and we'll see you soon. Bye.